Do you want to close the doors of some churches existing now? Then take away money from that church, and then you see a lot of doors closed. Welcome to Truths with Kubeli Panshak Ezekiel, and I'm here to just give us enlightenment on the ills that are happening in the church, of which this is a series I've been taking. This is the second episode, of which is tagged Love for Money. Love for Money. The first episode we did was on hypocrisy, and then this is the second episode, of which these are things that I've seen that have affected the church so much that if we don't address these things quickly, it will pull down a lot of things. A lot of foundations will be shaken because these things have crept into the church unnoticed. And then I see just few people talking about it. But now let's dive into it fully and see what God has for us today. First and foremost, I would like you to look into the church deeply and see what are those things that you see that has affected the church, has crippled the church in one way or the other. When you look keenly, you discover that the love of money is one of the greatest things that has affected the church, and it is bringing downfall to the church. Now the unbelievers out there won't be willing to listen to our messages. They will not even love to stand and listen to what you have to offer. Why? Because they see you as someone who is having the same character with them, just that you profess something different from your lips. How many ministries have been built up just because of this great issue called the love of money? Many have gone into the music ministry because they love money. Many have gone into building up ministries or churches just because they love money and they see money there. So they run to it. We have brought a different narrative of what Christianity is, and then we've sent it out there. It has affected generations upon generations, and it's still continuing, and it's growing faster and faster, especially in Nigeria, in that you see people giving Christianity a different narrative. It has looked as though, it's not looking as though, if you want to make quick wealth, become a Christian. If you want to make money, become a Christian. That's how it has been sent to us. That's the message that has been sent to most people out there, of which it is not true. The gospel of Christ is to save people from their sins. I want to make this emphasis that it is not a must that when you become a Christian, you become wealthy. It is the love of money that has made people to send that message to a lot of us out there. And many are holding to it because people are hungry. People need something to eat. People need food. But let's look at what the scripture says in the book of Matthew chapter 6 verse 24. It says, "For you cannot be a servant to two masters." You cannot be a servant to two masters. You either love one and hate the other. You have to be devoted to one, and then you will not be devoted to the other person. But now, the narrative we are giving out there is that you can serve God and then serve money at the same time. And funny enough, when God was giving us a comparison, or when God was telling us the truth of what we need to know about being a servant in this earth, is that you can be servant to just two things. It's either you're a servant to God or you're a servant to money. Not even to the devil. He did not make use of the word devil. He said money, because he knows what money can do. And then I can see many people pursuing this. Many people have lost the glory that God has given them. Why? Because of the love of money. Many have lost the call that God has given them. Why? Because of the love of money. I can see many people trying to go into missions, trying to go, claiming that God has called them in code. But when you look at their life, you discover that they are going in there because they know they can make quick money in missions. So they go into missions. Some people establish churches. Why? Because they want to make money. They can make easy money. And then that has affected our youth, especially, in that you see most people trying to do things in the name of God, of which when you look closely, it is because they want to make money out of it. They want to make money out of it. Now we cannot sing freely so that people's life will be edified until we put a price tag to it. I'm not saying someone should be lazy and not to look for money or use your gift to make money. But when you look keenly to the call that God has called us, especially to the call of this gospel, it is not meant to be transferred or to be changed, to be used in exchange for money. Because if it were so, some of us wouldn't have gotten the gospel now. We wouldn't have heard the gospel now. But people gave up their lives. People sacrificed a lot so that you and I will hear the gospel. And it was free. The scripture says, freely you receive, freely you should give. But now the narrative is that use what you have to get what you want. So we want to use the gospel to get money for ourselves. But God is not happy with us. God is not happy with us. If you know you are out there and that is a narrative that you are sending to other people, or that is what you are pursuing as a believer, then I'll ask you to change your ways, because that has crippled the church. That has become like a cancer to the church, in that many people are running in for the money. They are running in for the money. Now things are becoming quite expensive. The church is expensive. The church itself is expensive. So I won't be surprised when I go to buy musical instruments for my church or for someone, and I discover that it's quite expensive. Why? Because they know that the patronage comes from the church, and then they shoot the prices. Why? Because most people establishing churches now is because they want to make the money. So you see the church is quite expensive. It's very, very expensive. The church is very, very expensive. And then we've made the gospel very, very expensive. Very, very expensive. You can't access the gospel again freely. You will need to pay a fine to access the gospel. Can't you see how false teaching has been progressing? Why? Because of the love of money. So this has crippled the church a lot. I'm just sending this out to be a call for recheck, to see how our lives are. Because most of us, if you look keenly, you discover that your service for God is because of money. And when you continue in that way, at the end, God will say, "Depart from me, O you wicked servants." It is my earnest desire that you will not fall victim of God turning you away because of your love for money. Let our ministry not die because of the love of money. Let our call in this gospel, sharing this gospel, not die because of the love of money. So I'll close with this short story. I heard it. I don't know how true the story is, but they said the teacher was asking her students, what would they like to be when they grow up? And then one of the child stood up and said he wants to become a pastor. Then she asked him, you want to become a pastor? Because it's rare for you to hear someone saying he wants to become a pastor. Most of them would like to become engineers or doctors, but the child said he wants to become a pastor. So she asked him further to know why he wants to become a pastor. What he told her is that he wants to be rich, because he sees pastors as wealthy people. Wealthy people. I'm not saying that pastors should be poor. Neither am I saying that pastors should be rich, extremely rich. But now I want us to balance this, in that we have sent a narrative to the generation coming up that pastors are meant to be wealthy. Now we have taken the example that was given to us by Christ and the apostles and have substituted it with our love for wealth and money. And we think we are doing the right thing. When you check and balance it, you discover that it is not true. I'm not saying a pastor cannot be wealthy. You can be wealthy when you invest in businesses and then you do stuff. But when it is like a doctrine, or it's a fact that when you are a believer or a preacher, you are supposed to be wealthy, is what it's very, very wrong, because it sends a wrong message to people that are listening. And then they'll feel, let them go into ministry, even if they are called or not, so that they will be wealthy, just the way that pastor is wealthy, or just the way this pastor is wealthy. What of the life of Christ? What of the life of the apostles? Can't you see that lies is coming up more and more and more on the pulpits just because people want to make money? Can't you see? Even when someone is not wealthy, he would like to propose himself as though he's wealthy, just to get attention of people and then to get the money out of their pockets. Let us be careful, brothers out there. The love of money has crippled the church. And when we continue in this way, the devil will succeed in gaining more converts to himself than we gaining converts to God. It is my earnest desire that God will help us not to fall victims of lovers of money. So till we meet next time, thanks and God bless. Bye.